Fail. Environment shapes identity. What surrounds you influences what grows within you. The people you spend time with, the places you go, the sounds, the words, fail, the energy, all of it leaves an imprint on your mind and behavior. Whether you are aware of it or not, your environment is constantly shaping your decisions, your focus, your habits, fail, and ultimately who you become. Many people attempt personal change while keeping their environment the same. They try to build discipline in the middle of chaos, to find clarity in noise, to remain focused while surrounded by distraction, and when they fail, they blame themselves. But they overlook a fundamental truth on fail. You cannot plant new seeds in poisoned soil and expect healthy growth. If you want transformation, the surroundings must support the direction you are moving toward. To become unrecognizable in 1 week, you must first examine the space around you. Look at your physical environment. Is it clean, orderly, and intentional? Or is it cluttered, reactive, and filled with things that reflect your old habits? Your room, your workspace, your digital devices, these are not just neutral areas. They are mirrors of your mind. Fail. And if you do not consciously arrange them, they will unconsciously direct your focus and energy. When you walk into a space that is clean, quiet, and organized, fail, something in you straightens. Your thoughts become clear, your posture improves, your mind slows down. You begin to act with intention. Compare this to entering a messy, loud, chaotic space. Your thoughts scatter, your body slouches, your focus weakens. These effects are not imaginary, they are real, and they compound over time. Now look at the people around you. Are they aligned with your higher self or your past self? Do they challenge you or comfort your excuses? Fail. Do they support your growth or reflect your stagnation? You are not only shaped by your own willpower, but also by the energy of those closest to you. Fail. If the people around you fear change, they will unconsciously discourage your transformation. If they avoid discomfort, they will quietly pull you back toward comfort. Fail. This influence may not be obvious but is constant. That is why awareness of your environment is not a luxury. It is a necessity. If you are serious about growth, you must protect your space like a sacred ground. Remove what pulls you backward, add what pulls you forward. Fail. This does not mean cutting people off with coldness or obsessing over control. It means choosing what supports your path with clarity and without apology. Change can begin internally, but it must be reinforced externally. Set your room in order. Design your days with structure. Limit your exposure to noise. Spend time in nature. Read words that elevate you. Fail. Listen to silence more than distraction. Seek mentors even if only through their books or speeches. These are not random lifestyle changes. They are architecture. Fail. They are how you build an environment that reflects the future, not the past. You will notice that when your environment begins to change, your behavior follows more effortlessly. Fail. You won't need to fight temptation if it isn't near. You won't need to constantly remind yourself to focus if the space around you is free of chaos. Environment reduces resistance. It removes friction. It makes the disciplined path the default path. In a single week, this shift can be profound. You can go from disoriented to clear, from scattered to structured simply by changing what surrounds you. Wake up earlier, light a candle before your morning reflection. Leave your phone outside the room. Fail. Place your journal on the table, stack your books within reach. These are not dramatic moves, but they create dramatic results. Because they send a message to your mind. Fail. We are no longer who we were. And the mind listens. It adapts. It begins to act in harmony with the space. The energy around you becomes the energy within you. This alignment, what is synchronization between inner intention and outer structure, is what creates lasting transformation. So remember, you are not only what you think or do. You are also what surrounds you. If you want to become unrecognizable in 1 week, do not only look inward. Look around. Shape the environment, and the environment will shape you. Let your space speak the language of your future self, and you will begin to act accordingly, naturally, without force. That is the power of environment. What is how identity is rebuilt? Pain is the gatekeeper of progress. This is a truth that many try to escape, but none can avoid. In any process of transformation, there will be discomfort. Whether it is physical strain, emotional resistance, or mental fatigue, pain arrives as a signal, not of failure but of growth. It is not an obstacle to your evolution. What is part of it? The presence of pain does not mean you are doing something wrong. Often, it means you are finally doing something right. We live in a time where comfort is easily accessible. Temperature, entertainment, food, distraction, everything is designed to reduce friction. And because of this, people begin to associate ease with correctness. They believe that if something is uncomfortable, it should be avoided. But that is a dangerous belief, because anything worth becoming, anything meaningful requires a passage through challenge. And pain is often the marker that you are approaching your limits. You cannot expand those limits without first reaching them. In the pursuit of becoming unrecognizable, in just 1 week or over a lifetime, you must be willing to meet pain with presence, not panic. When the body aches from training, do not retreat. That H is the sound of old weakness leaving. When the mind resists early rising, do not negotiate. That resistance is the beginning of mental sharpening. When emotions rise in silence, fear, doubt, frustration, do not run. Sit with them. Listen. Let them show you the places that still need strengthening. Pain does not always scream, fail. Sometimes it whispers in the form of boredom, fatigue, or distraction. These are subtle forms of discomfort that often go unnoticed. But they are just as important. Fail. When you feel the urge to quit, to escape, to delay, pause. Look closer. That is the moment growth is being offered. The old version of you is trying to survive, and pain is its final defense. Push through and that version begins to dissolve. There is a deep sense of power that comes from enduring pain with awareness. Fail. Not forcing yourself blindly through it, but staying present with it. Breathing through it, learning from it. Pain teaches you where your boundaries lie and where they can be expanded. It teaches humility, reminding you that progress is earned, not given. It teaches patience, fail, revealing that true change is not instant but cumulative. And most importantly, it teaches resilience, the kind of resilience that cannot be faked or bought. Fail, only forged through effort. Think of every person who has truly changed their life, not just temporarily, but deeply. None of them avoided pain, they moved through it. And in doing so, fail, they gained more than strength, they gained wisdom. They understood that the pain they once feared was actually the doorway to the life they wanted. Fail. Every new level of growth demanded they leave something behind, a comfort, a habit, a belief. And the process of letting go was painful. But on the other side was clarity, freedom, power. So if you wish to become unrecognizable in 1 week, you must reframe your relationship with pain. Do not wish for an easy path. Wish for the strength to walk the hard one. Welcome the early wake-ups. Welcome the soreness. Welcome the resistance. These are your training grounds. They are not punishments. They are invitations. Invitations to rise. What to refine to become more than you were yesterday. Most people stop at pain. They see it as a wall. But the disciplined mind sees pain as a threshold, a point of transition. You do not have to fight it. You only need to endure it with presence, knowing that each moment of discomfort is shaping a stronger version of you. Not just in body, but in mind and spirit. It is not about chasing suffering. It is about not fearing it. Growth and pain often walk together. If you are willing to stay on that path, even when it is narrow, steep, and difficult, then what waits on the other side is transformation. Not the kind that fades, but the kind that rewrites who you are. This is why pain must be seen not as the enemy, but as the gatekeeper. It stands at the edge of your current identity, asking one question: are you willing to let go of who you are, to become who you must be? The answer must be given through action, through effort, through endurance, and when it is, you emerge changed, stronger, clearer, unrecognizable. Small decisions multiply. At first glance, small decisions seem insignificant. They are easy to overlook, easy to dismiss. What time you wake up, whether you make your bed, how you speak to a stranger, whether you drink water or reach for sugar, these choices seem too minor to matter. But that is where most people are mistaken, because these small decisions repeated daily begin to build momentum. They form habits, and habits in time shape identity. You do not become strong from a single workout. You do not become wise from one page of a book. And you do not become disciplined from a single act of self-control. But do these things often enough, and a shift begins to occur. The small decisions, the ones you thought didn't matter, begin to stack. Like drops of water in a jar, they collect. At first the change is invisible. But one day the jar is full. One day you wake up and realize you are not who you used to be. This is how you become unrecognizable in 1 week. Not by attempt to change everything all at once, but by focusing with great intensity on the small choices. Every moment offers you one. Will you act with awareness, or drift into the unconscious rhythm of your past self? There is a truth that many ignore: your identity is not fixed. You are not bound to who you were yesterday. But if you make the same decisions you made yesterday, you reinforce that identity. The repetition of old patterns gives life to the old self. The repetition of new patterns birth to someone new. Every small choice is a vote. When you wake up on time instead of snoozing the alarm, you cast a vote for self-respect. When you choose water over comfort food, you vote for health. When you speak kindly when it would be easier to be cold or silent, you vote for compassion and emotional control. These votes count even if no one sees them, especially when no one sees them. And that is where the power lies, in the unseen, in the unnoticed. Because when change is quiet, it is pure. It is not driven by recognition or applause, it is driven by purpose. And purpose, unlike motivation, does not fade. You may think 1 week is too short to change, that you need more time. But the truth is, time is neutral, it does not create change. You do. 1 week of conscious, intentional small decisions can have more impact than months of aimless motion. If every hour you make choices aligned with your higher self, you accelerate transformation far beyond what most achieve in far longer. But to do this, you must be awake. Not just physically, but mentally. Fail. You must become aware of the choices you usually make without thinking. Pay attention. How do you respond to resistance? What do you do when discomfort arises? Fail. Where do you go when you are bored or anxious? The more awareness you bring to your small behaviors, the more power you gain over them. You don't need to change your whole life in one day. You only need to make one different choice, and then another. One breath of awareness, one moment of discipline. Fail. One act of integrity. Do this consistently and change is not only possible, it is inevitable. This is the discipline of small things, and it is harder than it sounds. Because it is easy to be inspired by big goals, it is much harder to remain faithful to the small actions that move you toward them. Fail. But if you do, if you commit to these small decisions, you begin to change from the inside out, not through force, not through grand declarations, but through quiet. Fail. Steady repetition. At the end of the week, you will not have just done new things. You will have become someone new, and it will not be because of one big decision. Fail. It will be because of the hundreds of small ones that built upon each other like stones in a path, leading you out of who you were and into who you are meant to be. Small decisions matter. They multiply. They shape you. They are the foundation of the transformation you seek. Pay attention to them, and you will never be the same again. Fail. The mind must lead the body. This is the principle that underlies all true transformation. Before the body can move with purpose, before your actions can carry direction. Fail. The mind must first become clear. Without mental clarity, your efforts become scattered. You may train your body, but without a guiding thought, the movements lack depth. Fail. You may attempt change, but without focused intention, the change remains temporary, shallow, or incomplete. Every action begins in the mind, in the form of thought, decision, or belief. If the mind is clouded, distracted, or unstable, the body follows in the same pattern. This is why physical mastery always begins with inner discipline. Fail. You must take control of your thoughts before you can take control of your actions. You must learn to observe your mental habits, not just your physical ones, and question them. Yeah. Where do your thoughts go when you are tired, when you are challenged, when you are alone? For one to become unrecognizable in a short span of time, the most significant shift must first happen in their mental space. The way you speak to yourself, the thoughts you accept as truth, fail, and the focus you choose to hold. These shape your future more than your physical routine ever will. A chaotic mind produces a chaotic life. A still, disciplined mind creates structure, calm, and power. Stillness does not mean inactivity. It means control. It means awareness. To sit in silence, not needing to react. Not seeking distraction is already a form of transformation. In the modern world, silence is a rare discipline. But from silence comes clarity. When you begin your day in silence, when you choose to spend even a few minutes in observation, without phone, without noise, without movement, your mind starts to slow down. What begins to filter what matters and what does not. This clarity is necessary. Without it, you will chase many things and accomplish little. You will become busy but not effective. You will move but not progress. The mind must lead. Your body is strong, adaptable, and capable. But it is not the leader, it is the follower. When the mind is weak, the body seeks comfort. When the mind is undisciplined, the body avoids challenge. But when the mind is steady and unwavering, the body will follow into difficulty, endure hardship, fail, and push past limitations. The way to train the mind is through practice. Mental strength does not appear suddenly. It must be developed like muscle, through repeated effort. This means paying attention to your internal state as often as you pay attention to your external one. Before you move your body, ask, where is my mind? Before you speak, ask, what is the intention behind my words? This is mindfulness in action. It builds alignment between mind and body. When you train, whether through physical exercise, study, or skill development, let the mind be the master. Move with focus. If you lift weights, do so with attention to each movement. If you run not just to finish, but to feel every step. Bring awareness to the present. This is how the mind sharpens. This is how the body becomes a vessel of will, not habit. This practice extends beyond training. In daily life, when emotions rise, anger, anxiety, frustration, you are given a testing. Will the body react first, or will the mind lead? True strength is not found in brute force, but in restraint, in self-awareness, in control. To become unrecognizable is not just to look different, but to respond differently. To become someone who no longer acts from impulse, but from understanding. Do not expect perfection. Expect progress. At first, the mind will wander, fail. You may fall into old patterns. But each time you bring your focus back, you are strengthening the connection between thought and action. Over time, the mind becomes your ally, not your enemy. And once the mind is trained, once it begins to lead with clarity and discipline, the transformation of the body, the habits, the life itself, becomes inevitable. Change flows outward from the mind. When you master it, everything else follows. This is the path. This is the way to become unrecognizable. Not through force, but through alignment. When the mind leads, the body follows. When the body follows, change begins. Our transformation requires discipline, not motivation. This truth is often misunderstood. Many people wait for a spark of inspiration, believing that once they feel ready, or change will happen naturally. But waiting for motivation is like waiting for the wind to blow in your direction. Uncertain, fleeting, and completely out of your control. Discipline, on the other hand, is built. It is forged through repetition. It is the foundation upon which lasting transformation is constructed. Motivation is emotional, it fluctuates. Some days you feel inspired to move, to act, to strive. Other days that feeling disappears. If your progress depends on how you feel, your transformation will always be inconsistent, fail. But discipline is not emotional. It is a commitment, a contract with yourself that does not change based on mood, weather, or convenience. To become unrecognizable in 1 week, fail. You must shift your allegiance from feeling to action. This is the first and most important lesson. You will not feel ready. You will not always feel capable. Fail. You may even doubt the process, but none of that matters. What matters is that you act regardless of emotion. That is discipline. That is power. Fail. When you train your body or cultivate your mind, the energy to do so must not be borrowed from excitement. It must come from structure. Ask yourself, fail. What actions will I repeat every day, no matter how I feel? Your answer to this question determines whether your transformation is sustainable or short-lived. Fail. A disciplined life is a life of rhythm. Just as nature follows cycles, the sun rises and sets, the tides ebb and flow, your actions must follow order. Wake up at the same time. Move your body daily. Eat with intention. Speak with awareness. Reflect in silence. These are not grand gestures. These are not acts of sudden inspiration. These are daily, fail, structured efforts that build something far greater than motivation ever could. Discipline is also quiet. It does not seek recognition. It does not announce itself. It is seen in your consistency, not your declarations. The world may not notice the first day you rise early or the first time you choose to meditate instead of scroll. But over time, fail, the effects become undeniable. You begin to move differently. Your presence carries weight. People may not understand what changed, but they will feel it. Fail. That is the result of discipline practiced in private. It is important to understand that discipline is not harshness. It is not punishment. It is a form of respect. For yourself, for your goals, for your potential. To be disciplined is to say, I believe I am worth the effort. You are no longer driven by convenience or comfort. Fail. You are driven by alignment. A deep inner knowing that each act of discipline brings you closer to your higher self. In the beginning, it will feel unnatural. The mind will resist. Fail. The body will push back. There will be discomfort. That is expected. What matters is that you do not stop. Each time you act with discipline, even when you do not feel like it, fail, you are casting a vote for the person you want to become. Over time, these votes accumulate. They change how you think, how you move, how you live. Fail. This is how you become unrecognizable. Not through sudden bursts of effort, but through daily acts of discipline that reshape your identity. When others see you after a week, they may notice something different, but they will not be able to describe it. That difference is built quietly through action, not emotion. So remember, when the desire fades, fail. When the excitement disappears, what remains? That is where discipline begins, and that is where transformation becomes real.